Welcome to Blueprint Viral News, your go-to source for the latest political updates. Today, we're breaking down the latest polling numbers from the CBC News Poll Tracker as of 3rd February 2025. With shifting voter sentiments and regional variations, these numbers could shape the outcome of the next federal election. Let's dive in. The latest national polling averages reveal a strong lead for the Conservative Party, holding 43.4% of the popular vote. This puts them in a commanding position ahead of the Liberals, who trail at 23.4%. The New Democratic Party, NDP, maintains a steady 17.3%, while the Bloc Québécois, a key player in Quebec, stands at 8.3%. Meanwhile, the Green Party holds 4.1%, the People's Party of Canada, PPC, has 2.6%, and other parties collectively make up 0.9% of the vote. With the Conservatives extending their national lead, the big question is whether the Liberals and NDP can mount a comeback in key battleground regions. Meanwhile, the Bloc Québécois' dominance in Quebec could play a pivotal role in the election outcome. Conservatives in a strong position. With 43.4% of the national vote, the Conservatives are in a commanding position to either form a strong minority or even a majority government, depending on how these votes translate into seats across the country. Their surge in support, particularly in suburban and rural areas, gives them the momentum as the election campaign heats up. The big question now is whether their lead will hold and whether their regional strength will hold up in the face of a potential Liberal NDP comeback. Liberals and NDP fighting for relevance trailing significantly behind, the Liberals find themselves in a difficult position. With 23.4% of the vote, the party is facing a 20-point deficit that places them at a distinct disadvantage. Key battlegrounds in Ontario, Quebec, and the Greater Toronto Area, GTA, will be critical in determining whether the Liberals can regain momentum. Their ability to rally support from urban voters, especially in regions where they have historically performed well, will be crucial in attempting to close the gap and avoid a loss of seats. The NDP, while holding steady at 17.3%, faces its own set of challenges. With limited ability to break through the two-party dominance, the NDP's hopes hinge on attracting progressive voters from the Liberal base. However, their potential for growth may be restricted if the Liberals can regain ground, especially in provinces like British Columbia and Ontario. Bloc Québécois, key to Quebec's electoral outcome. The Bloc Québécois, with 8.3% of the vote, remains a crucial player in Quebec. The party's nationalist agenda resonates strongly in the province, and its concentrated support could make it a kingmaker in the region. While the Bloc does not pose a serious national challenge in terms of vote share, their performance in Quebec ridings could have significant implications for the overall election outcome. A strong showing could limit the Conservatives' chances of securing a majority, especially if the Bloc siphons away key votes in tightly contested ridings. Impact of smaller parties. The Green Party, with 4.1% of the national vote, remains a minor player, but could have an outsized impact in select ridings in British Columbia and Prince Edward Island. In past elections, the Greens have managed to win a handful of seats with a small share of the vote, and their influence may be felt again in the coming months. The People's Party of Canada, PPC, with 2.6%, has not garnered widespread support, but remains a thorn in the side of the Conservative Party in certain regions. With a platform focused on immigration reform and national sovereignty, the PPC could pull votes away from the Conservatives, particularly in rural ridings where their message resonates. Now, let's take a closer look at the provincial breakdown and analyze where each party stands across the country. In British Columbia, the Conservatives are leading the charge with 46.3%, showing strong support across urban and rural regions alike. The NDP is putting up a competitive fight with 24.3%, a sign of their continued appeal in the province. The Liberals trail at 21%, struggling to gain momentum, while the Greens hold 6.1%, maintaining their base of environmentally conscious voters. The PPC remains at a modest 1.5%, with other parties making up 0.9%. British Columbia is traditionally a three-way race, and while the Conservatives have a comfortable lead, the NDP's strength in Metro Vancouver and Vancouver Island remains significant. Liberal support appears to be slipping, which could signal seat losses if the trend continues. Alberta remains a stronghold for the Conservatives, with a commanding 61.2% of voter support. The NDP is attempting to make inroads at 18.9%, positioning themselves as the primary opposition. The Liberals, meanwhile, hold just 14.4%, indicating a tough battle for them in this traditionally conservative province. The Greens and PPC hold 1.7% and 2.8% respectively, with other parties rounding out the remaining 1%. This overwhelming conservative support suggests that Alberta will remain a major source of seats for the party, reinforcing their national advantage. The NDP's presence, while notable, isn't enough to significantly challenge the Tory dominance in this province. In Saskatchewan and Manitoba, the Conservatives are firmly in control with 53.4% of the vote. The NDP remains competitive at 22.7%, showing resilience in key districts. The Liberals sit at 16.6%, while the Greens hold 3.2%, the PPC has 2.9%, and other parties account for 1.2%. Similar to Alberta, this region remains a conservative stronghold. However, the NDP is proving to be a solid competitor in certain ridings, particularly in urban areas like Winnipeg. The Liberals face an uphill battle to hold on to what little support they have in the region. Ontario, the most electorally significant province, is shaping up to be a high-stakes battleground. The Conservatives are currently leading with 45.1%, but the Liberals remain within striking distance at 28.8%. The NDP holds 17.3%, hoping to capture key urban ridings. The Greens sit at 4.7%, while the PPC claims 3.1%. With Ontario's large number of seats, every percentage point here matters. This province will be a key battleground in the next election. The Liberals will need to significantly boost their numbers in urban centers like Toronto and Ottawa if they hope to close the gap. The NDP will also be aiming to carve out stronger support in places like Hamilton and Windsor. With the Conservatives leading comfortably, they could flip several Liberal-held ridings and strengthen their path to victory. In Quebec, the Bloc Québécois continues to assert its dominance, leading with 35.2% of the vote. The Conservatives have gained traction, now standing at 26.1%, surpassing the Liberals, who hold 21.9%. The NDP, traditionally weaker in Quebec, holds 10.3%, while the Greens have 3.4%, and the PPC sits at 2%. This province remains pivotal in shaping the national outcome. Quebec remains a swing factor in the election. The Bloc Québécois' strong showing means they will likely maintain a significant number of seats. However, the Conservatives' rise in Quebec could see them picking up crucial ridings, especially in the Quebec City region. The Liberals, once a dominant force here, are struggling, and their ability to recover will be crucial in determining their national standing. In Atlantic Canada, the Conservatives lead with 42.1%, though the Liberals remain closely behind at 33.3%. The NDP holds 15.6%, the Greens stand at 5.9%, and the PPC trails at 2.5%. With multiple ridings up for grabs, this region remains a key battleground for all major parties. Historically, Atlantic Canada has been a Liberal stronghold, but these numbers indicate a shift. The Conservatives' lead suggests they could flip seats, making this region one to watch on election night. The NDP's presence here remains steady, but they are unlikely to gain significant ground. With the next federal election on the horizon, these numbers paint a clear picture of where each party stands. Will the Conservatives maintain their lead, or will the Liberals and NDP rally their base for a comeback? And what role will the Bloc Québécois and other smaller parties play in shaping the final outcome? The stakes couldn't be higher. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Blueprint Viral News for the latest political coverage. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think has the momentum heading into the election? Let's discuss.